Terrorblade has a number of strong sides: his basic armor and attack damage, his demonic form, capable of driving any enemy away from the lane, and it turns him into a siege machine at the same time. There are also illusions, which he can use to farm quickly and create pressure points all around the map without endangering the hero himself. Lastly, there is his ultimate, which can be used to turn whole teamfights around, when used correctly. But these are not the real reasons why he's so popular among professional players. Well, not the primary reasons, that is. Terrorblade is a hero capable of turning the smallest of enemy mistakes into captured objectives, destroyed towers, and even fallen barracks. The speed of him taking all of those down is unmatched by any hero in the game, at the same level of power. But having Terrorblade picked and having a decent amount of farm is just not enough. You need to know how to use them properly. Team Secret have proven themselves as masters of this hero during ESL One Hamburg, which they have managed to win in the end. In the final matches played during the last day of the tournament, they have displayed a superb Terrorblade performance, making use of the slightest openings left by their opponents. And then, in the grand finals, this hero was their key to success, having appeared in 4 out of 5 matches there, with that one exception of him being banned. The hero who's been shadowed by such powerful late game carries as Spectre, Phantom Lancer, Morphling, and Luna, has just made a comeback into the professional scene, and has become the most popular carry hero of the tournament. Today we are going to take aim at 2 matches Team Secret has played using this hero, both of which were ended before the 40-minute mark. In both of these matches, Team Secret had a very good start, in which the mid-game went equally, although Team Secret's superior performance and their ability to utilize every single one of the enemy mistakes has allowed them to secure their victories in the end. We are going to review each and every one of those situations, which happened in these 2 matches, and we'll use them to explain the basic principles of punishing your opponents as Terrorblade. The first episode of this kind has happened in the match between Team Secret and Virtus.Pro at the 19-minute mark. The laning phase went in favor of the former, but that didn't really turn this match into a one-sided onslaught. Team Secret did destroy the enemy tier 1 towers, but they just couldn't get any further due to a lack of serious advantage on their end. After all, the enemies had a substantial amount of teamfighting potential in their team comp. However, the good vision Team Secret have set up, combined with the info they had on the enemies on the other side of the map, has created an opening for them, wide enough to secure a kill on Shen. Not only is Terrorblade pretty good at destroying towers, Roshan can fall just as quickly, as long as he has Metamorphosis on it. Having a good net worth here is a very important factor. Not every carry is capable of turning that gold into actual map objectives. After the Roshan fell, Team Secret were able to take the Luna out as well, and then turn it all into a destroyed tier 2 tower. Metamorphosis is still active, so taking that tower out couldn't have been easier for them. Without his demonic form, however, Terrorblade becomes much less powerful, so the last 2 minutes had to be spent farming. But now that the form is active once again, it's time for some action. A good kill on Phoenix opens up a path straight into the enemy base, which is exactly what the player signals to his teammates. This is his call. He knows the strengths and weaknesses of his heroes, and this makes him want to lead his team forward. Even though he is the youngest among the team, Terrorblade doesn't hesitate. He immediately activates his form and starts destroying the tower. Glyph Protection and the Axis Berserker's Call didn't really scare him off. Now that those 2 were down, nothing was there to stop him from finishing that tower off. Having an Aegis on him gives him a second chance, which makes this kind of move a lot less risky, enough to just go for it without thinking. The next of his targets is the melee barrack, but this time, the enemies try to retaliate, right at the moment where Terrorblade had his health quite low. This is where he loses his Aegis. He couldn't use his Sunder in time, and that has gotten him killed. But he made up for that in the next fight, where he used it to dominate 2 of the enemy carries. However, the barrack will remain sound. Storm Spirit's Bloodstone has allowed him to respawn quite quickly and finish Team Secret's main carry-off and allowed his team to keep defending. But this was really close. Both of the barracks had basically 1 hit worth of health left in them, so the attempt was well worth it. They've just gotten a little unlucky. This game didn't go without any negative moments, by the way. After their successful defense, Virtus.Pro were able to decrease the lead Team Secret had over them, but that didn't stop the latter from going after the objectives. But this time, all 5 of the Virtus.Pro heroes will be alive. and all of them will have decent positions for defending the tier 2 tower. That is what will lead to another highly unsuccessful teamfight for Team Secret. Terrorblade took the hit on himself, being very close to the enemy team at the start of the fight, and even a well-timed Sunder wasn't enough to help him stay alive. Black King's Spar wasn't of any help either, as he first got hit by the Supernova Blast, and then got caught into the Berserker's Call, which was just enough to take him out. And then the rest of his teammates followed, completely losing all of their advantage and equalizing the net worth graphs. In moments like these, the most important thing is to stay calm, and remember that a lost teamfight is not necessarily an indicator of your enemies getting stronger, it's just you failing at executing your own strategy, or the opponent finding a breach in it. A hero like Terrorblade is still capable of making use of any mistake in the enemy macro gameplay, even in the most equal of matches. Which is exactly what happened next. Another kill on Shen has taken him out of the game for more than 2 minutes without any buybacks, as he used it before, and that creates a wide opening for yet another Roshan run. Another dead support turned into an objective. Not every carry is capable of doing things like that. However, that wasn't the only gift their opponents will give to them. Storm Spirit has made an attempt at stealing the Aegis, but has gotten caught into the Yule Scepter, which was enough to force a BKB out of him, which he had to use to get out alive. He will now have that item on a minute-long cooldown, which further contributes to his team's current disadvantage, and frankly, that will be enough for Terrorblade to finish what he started. Team Secret have regrouped and went straight down the mid lane to besiege those barracks once again. This time, nothing will be able to stop the Terrorblade from destroying them. Having the weakest of the enemy heroes and a BKB on the enemy carry down was just enough for Terrorblade to turn an absolutely equal situation into a destroyed lane of barracks. That's what the Aegis can do for you. Feeling the injustice, the enemies have decided to retaliate, but all that they were left with was yet another kill on their Shen. And we all know what Terrorblade can do when at least one of the enemies gets killed. Another tier 2 went down, and then they took the shrine too. Terrorblade didn't even need his metamorphosis for it. But climbing another high ground would be too risky right now. You wouldn't want to give your enemies any chances like that, even when you have an Aegis on you. Team Secret will not be able to put the Aegis to use, but at least they would pull a very lucky teamfight off. Terrorblade only needed to arrive in time and land a couple of hits on the nearest enemy. The opponents have pretty much done everything for him here, by starting a fight on the opposite side of the map. A 4-for-0 trade is not going to be turned into something bigger, due to Invoker's death, and the buyback coming from Luna, but the end was still pretty near. Even having 10,000 gold of advantage by 40 minutes in is enough for Terrorblade to drive the match to a very confident finish. The last team fight will not bring the enemy team any sort of success. It is just impossible to survive Terrorblade's onslaught, not when you just leave him be like that. Luna has died after the buyback, and that will make the enemies call GG. A couple of seemingly insignificant support deaths were enough for Terrorblade to kill Roshan twice, and destroy the enemy mid lane, which in turn was enough for his team to secure control over the map. And that's all thanks to Terrorblade and his metamorphosis. Vici Gaming, on the other hand, weren't keen to make such generous gifts. Team Secret were not able to kill the Roshan as easily as they could before. Not in the 4th match of the Grand Finals. They literally had to fight to the death before they could get their hands on the Aegis. Walking into the pit without having the metamorphosis ready would have been a mistake, and Team Secret were aware of that. Terrorblade relies too much on the spell and is more than twice weaker without it, so they've made a hasty decision to just wait up. They entered the pit as a small group, but they knew that the Phantom Lancer was pretty far away from it at the moment. However, that didn't save them from the incoming fight. Even though their tiniest died, Vici Gaming were able to prevent the Terrorblade from picking the Aegis up, and that has led to the Centaur Warrunner picking it up instead, although the fight itself has ended in Team Secret's favor. 4 of the enemies went down, having traded themselves for Mirana, Treant Protector, and an Aegis, but Terrorblade still was increasing his lead. With such a huge advantage over the enemy carry, Terrorblade can actually go for the enemy towers without even picking the enemy heroes off beforehand. There is nothing the enemies can do about him and his Eye of Skadi in Manta style combo. However, that will still not be enough to climb the high ground just yet. 2 of the enemy supports will get picked off, and this is what the missing link was. Terrorblade might not have the Aegis in his inventory right now as he did in the previous match we've reviewed, but having an extra item was just enough to put those 2 deaths to an intended use. The enemy barracks will fall. Having Wyverns and Silencers ultimates on their cooldowns will absolutely disarm the opponents, and they will not even try to retaliate there. In the end, the 2 pickoffs were put to an immediate use, even though those weren't the core heroes they've killed. Next up, Team Secret have done something a little different. A newly bought Butterfly and a very lucky rune has allowed Team Secret to enter the enemy base once again. Even without his metamorphosis on, Terrorblade has to attack the enemy tier 3 tower, without any fears. He's just too strong at this point. This match was finished slightly faster than the last one. The teamfight that happened at the 33-minute mark was the final one for the enemy team, as they were left unable to defend their towers from Terrorblade's onslaught. In this case, Team Secret didn't have to use the pickoffs nor the flaws in the enemy positioning, and not even the Aegis advantage. All they had to do was just outfarm them. When it comes to heroes like Terrorblade, net worth becomes extremely important and contributes a lot to his pushing power, which is, quite frankly, what the primary objective of the match requires you to have. This is why this hero is valued so much by the professionals, especially in the most intense of their tournament matches, where the enemy team might not make any major mistakes, and you have to make do with whatever you have. And this is where Terrorblade excels, turning even the smallest of openings into massive wounds in the enemy defenses. Bad positioning around the outer tower will lead to its destruction. A death of one of the enemies will turn into a free Aegis, and a lucky pickoff by the enemy base will quickly become a high ground siege, and an Aegis being put to use. The amount of pressure Terrorblade can create with the sheer speed of his sieging leaves his opponents with no room for mistakes, and can completely immobilize them in their defenses. He is absolutely unforgiving, and this is what the young carry for Team Secret has shown to us during the final day of the ESL One Hamburg tournament. What should you remember? When the situation is equal, always be ready to make use of the poor positioning on the enemy end, and turn it into captured map objectives. You will need an Aegis and a pickoff to enter the enemy high ground. When you are ahead, go for the enemy outer towers with no fear. You might as well climb their high ground too, but only if you have at least one of the enemies dead. If your net worth is high enough, you can make do even without the Aegis.